Okay, welcome everyone. This episode we have our guest Jermaine Fox. He is a realtor, he is an investor, and currently, as we are speaking, he's number 42 on the top producers in the Columbus area out of almost 10,000 realtors. He has been able to have $25 million of volume this year alone. Jermaine Fox, thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So I wanted to start off from the very, very beginning because you had a untraditional start. You went to Ohio University for Health Service Administration. Can you tell us what was the decision behind that?
Well, I was undecided for the first 3 years because I had no clue. I didn't plan on going to college until my guidance counselor was like, "Did you apply for any scholarships?" I'm like, "No, why?" Because there's no one in my family really went to college, so that wasn't a plan of mine. But I applied for a scholarship because my apartment burnt down my senior year right after Christmas, like 2 days after New Year's. Lost everything my senior year.
Wow.
So people donated clothes and all that stuff. So I wrote about that, and I got a Dow Chemical Minority Scholarship.
Oh.
So when I went to college, they gave me some money for going. I was like, "Y'all gonna pay me to go to college?" You know, it was student loan money. I thought that was real money. But anyway, because they were giving me a little bit of money, I never really had any money. It was only a couple grand, but that was more I ever had. I went and they kept giving me those checks. I kept going to college.
Oh, dang.
But the Health Service Administration, what happened was I seen one thing eventually like pharmaceutical sales. So I was like, I looks like that would be me. So I liked that. And they said you can run like a nursing home. So I stuck with that and finished that out.
And then after that, you went into home sales. How did you make that switch from pharmaceuticals, nursing homes into new home construction?
Well, I never worked in the healthcare industry. As soon as I graduated college, like right before I graduated, I got a job at CSX as a conductor on the trains. I had a cousin that worked there and he was making good money at the time. And so he got me on and said, but I had to move to Columbus. That's what got me to Columbus.
Yeah.
I did that for about 2 years, hated it, outside in the elements all day, every day, no matter what. They would always made fun of me, a lot of old heads, like, "Oh, college boy, what you doing out here?" They couldn't say my name right. They called me Jerome all the time. So I stopped correcting them. But anyway, I was like, I need to get out of this. And then I got into, where I wanted to sell pharmaceuticals, I got into business-to-business telecom sales.
Oh.
So I started that. I did that for like 11 months. That was horrible too. There was 40 people that came and went those 11 months. I was the second longest tenured person there.
Oh my gosh.
Because people would come do a ride along and then never come back. Because you'd go to door and people would kick you out and no soliciting and all that stuff. So it was micromanaged and that's not good for me. So I did that. And then I wanted to get into pharmaceuticals. I remember a recruiter was like, "Hey, I know you hate life right now and it sucks and you're being underpaid." I'm thinking, right, and more right. He said, "But if you can stick it out for another 7 months and get 18 months in there, you'll be 10 times as marketable."
Oh.
And I'm like, I can't do it. So I was looking at a new house and the sales rep was like, "I can get you on here. I know the manager pretty well." So she got me a job at New Home Sales, Miranda Homes.
Okay, yeah.
And it was commission only after 6 months. I'm getting $3,000 a month salary. Everything's good, but I ain't selling nothing because they put me in bad spots where there's no internet, no walk-through traffic. I don't know what's happening. So after a while, I remember I talked to my boss after 6 months and I said, "Hey, I appreciate the opportunity you gave me. It just didn't work out." But, he said, "No, I want you to stay." I'm like, "For real? I didn't sell anything." He said, "Stay. You're going to get this, Jermaine. They just need seats in the models just in case."
Yeah.
So I stuck around and then I got a sell or two, but it took months to get it because it's a new build. So I'm eating ramen noodles for months because I don't get no money no more.
Yeah.
Commission ran out, no money. I'm like, oh my God. Finally figured it out. But here's the one thing that first year, even though I was eating ramen noodles, I made half the money I did the year before.
Oh, really?
I made 42 grand in telecom sales, and then I made 21 grand in new home sales because I got the 3,000 a month for 6 months.
Oh my gosh.
The freedom.
Uh,
I said, I just like this freedom. I saw my sales manager once every 5 weeks, and we had a meeting once a week for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Other than that, you was on your own, and I loved that freedom. And then I started figuring out, and then the first full year, I was like rookie of the year. The next year, I was top 2. Next year, I was top sales rep with the most sales or whatever. And that's the longest job I've ever had. It was like 3.5 years.
oh my gosh, yeah.
I've been fired from every job I ever had. I wasn't a great employee. Very loyal.
Yeah.
But once I realized you didn't care about me, I don't care neither. So then it was button heads, and the man with the gold makes the rules, so they would always fire me.
Mm-hmm.
But real quick, then I finally got fired from Rwanda for going home for lunch because the VP didn't like me. And my wife was pregnant at the time with my son. We just got married 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
January 22nd, got fired February 2nd. She wasn't working, and now I'm getting $386 a week, in unemployment.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know what to do. So I get my real estate license 2 months later in April of 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest is history. After that, I ain't had no choice. Back against the wall, and they went hit the ground running.
Yeah, no. How was it in 2011? Because I've talked to some people and they said like that's still towards the recession era. Like it's still pretty hard to do sales. How was it for you?
2011, yeah, it was hard for me because, like I said, my wife at the time had my son. I got my license in April, middle of April, and she had him June 6th. So you have a new baby, you ain't doing nothing. You're home every day, all day, helping out. So I sold like 2 houses that first part of the second half of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2012, no sales in January, no sales in February, March, no sales to the last day of the month.
Oh,
I closed 3 properties, made 10 grand. I never had 10 grand in my life. I was like, hey, maybe there's something to this.
Yeah.
All right. April, no money.
Mm-hmm.
May, $1,500.
Oh, yeah.
June, no money. Fast forward to the end of the year, I got paid 5 months, 7 months I made no money, but I made 42 grand.
Okay, that's not bad.
And that put me like 4th or 5th in the office out of like 40 people, which was crazy.
Oh, wow.
And then the next year, now I'm cooking with gas. I got my momentum. I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to be doing, calls, notes, pop buys like I was taught. And then I sold like 27 houses, and I was number 2 in the office. But I made 105 grand that year. And that was the first time I ever made $100,000 was 2012.
Okay, and that was your commission?
That was my commission, was 105.
Oh my gosh, wow, dang.
Yeah.
And you said that you learned this from someone. Who did you learn? Because I remember before even this podcast, you were talking about mentors and how you have 2 of them. And I'm interested, like, who taught you this part of your real estate journey?
Well, I've learned from reading books and stuff that there's no shortcuts, but if there is a shortcut, it's having someone who's done it before you, that's successful at it, to tell you what they do and you take heed and listen versus trying to reinvent the wheel. So as soon as I got my license, the guy I knew, who was kind of like a mentor to me, and he said, I have a buddy in Indianapolis that he makes $300,000 a year. That was like $3 million to me at the time. I was like, 300,000. This is 2011. I'm like, what? He's like, give him a call. I played college ball with him. He'll talk to you. I call this guy, like, hey, Andy, Dave told me to call you. What I need to do? I'm new. He said, I do a thing called Buffini. It's a coaching system.
Mm-hmm.
I have a call every 2 weeks. We talk for 30 minutes, and I do calls. I call my people so many times. I have to write personal notes. I have to see them, like take them to coffee, take them to lunch. When I do these things and I contact my people, I make more money.
Mm-hmm.
When I don't do it, I don't make as much money. It's really that simple. And every month I send out a mailer to all my people, and I send an email out on the 15th. Mail on the 1st, email on the 15th, calls, notes, pop buys. And I didn't have the $500 to pay coach, so I did the self-paced for like $150, and I didn't do it right. I never sent the mailers out, so I was just fumbling through. But that first full year after 2012, I started like focusing and doing it, and that's when I started. It compounded. My efforts compounded. It's like throwing seed out in the spring, and then 3 months later, you harvest it. You know what I'm saying? And that's how real estate's a contact sport.
Huh.
But Buffini is the first coaching program I had. I'm still with them to this day.
Oh, wow.
And go to their conferences and all that stuff to stay in the know and get around people who are doing better than me, because I'm thinking I'm doing really good right here. I'm number 1 in my office for 2 years in a row. I go to California for a conference, and they're telling me the kind of money they're making. I'm like, how? Well, the average price point's way higher than mine, so that helps. But still, it keeps you motivated versus getting, complacent.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And then, so you were telling me how in 2014 is when you started your investment journey. Can you tell me how that started and how you did that with real estate at the same time?
Well, I started before that because everybody was doing stuff and I didn't know nothing about nothing, but I got in there and made my mistakes and got whacked against the head. I got hit so hard, I was like, if I ever do another investment property, I'm paying cash, because that way I know I'm gonna be okay.
Uh-huh.
Because I over leveraged like everybody does. They was doing the no money downs, and I didn't know. They just let me buy stuff.
Mhm.
And so what is I bought a house for 25 grand off a wholesaler named Fred Brown. We're still friends to this day. We talked yesterday. I literally listed that house last week for $210,000.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, but I put some money in it. But either way, it's gonna be a good return. So I bought a few houses cash, and then I'm like, man, that's just slow when you pay cash for everything. And it wasn't but a few years ago when I felt better about everything, higher net worth, that I started like leveraging my money by getting lines of credit and buying something else and doing that and doing this.
Can you tell me about that first investment where it scared you away almost?
Oh yeah. The very first property I bought, like I said, at the time I'm making the 36, 42 in the what is it called? Telecom sales.
Yeah.
And I had a buddy back home that I used to go out to in the clubs and we talked to girls and stuff. And he's like, you need to be a realtor, man. Like, you're way better than me at talking to people and girls. Like, I'm telling you, this would be perfect for you. But I was scared to death to get into real estate because you needed money to live and I didn't have any. And he
Mhm.
was killing it back home. He was flipping houses. He said, listen, I have this, was it a duplex? I said, I can sell it to you for like $80,000. You don't need no money down,
Mhm.
nothing. And you're going to make like $500 a month. I'm like, for real? He was making like 40 grand off of it. He bought it for like 15, 20, put 20 in it, sold it to me for 80. Like I said, this is like 2000, probably
2007.
2008,
Oh,
2009. So 40 grand, dude was
yeah.
23. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot. Yeah.
So I bought that, and then he's like, hey, I'm selling one right next door, full forward, and you can buy that for like 95 and you'll make even more money. So I bought that. Then
Mhm.
my bank, I bought what was it, a foreclosed house from my credit union.
Mm.
And at the time, they did these things that where they was just giving away money. You could do a drive-by appraisal.
Mm.
So it's like, I don't have the money to fix it up completely, but I have the money to put a roof and siding and windows to make it look new outside. They drive by and then they'll give me like $100,000 and then we're good. Well, that's when the economy changed and they stopped doing the drive-by appraisals. So I got caught up with all those things. And then when I lost my job, I got rid of all that stuff when I had my son. And I said, I'll never get caught in that situation again. So I'm gonna pay cash for everything. And that only lasted so long.
Okay. And then, so now you're going as a realtor. This is throughout the 2010s. What are some important lessons that you learned along the way, especially with how the lifestyle is of a realtor, where it's you eat what you kill. So like, unless you get that commission, you're not making money.
Well, I kind of preferred that. And when I was younger and did the W-2 thing, I remember someone telling me, I don't know who it was, but he said, listen, you want to make some real money? I'm like, yeah, I want to make some real money. He's like, commission only. I'm thinking, are you crazy? Not get
Mhm.
paid and just pray that someone gives you money? Like, I got bills to pay. I didn't have no real bills, but in my mind, I thought I did. So, but like I said, the corporate world was not good for me because once I realized you didn't care. I didn't care. And like I said, I didn't go too far in those companies. They would fire me. Also, I had jobs to where like, it was like, I had a sales job where you sold magazines, right? $7 an hour. And I was really good on the phones. I always worked on the phones in college. I didn't want people to see me working. I was like, I'm never working fast food. And I just didn't want people to see me work. So I always did on the phone, customer service. And I would sell like 30 magazines in 2-3 hours. Everybody else is like 7.
This is
But we're making the same money no matter what.
yeah.
So I would go to the bathroom for 2 hours and read a magazine, whatever I wanted to. I didn't care. I let them catch up. Eventually, the company got mad at me, and I'm like, what? Let them catch up, and I'll do more. Obviously, I got fired from that. So I learned I like the fact that you get to eat what you kill because I'm competitive, and now I know I'm getting paid what I'm worth. So I had extra motivation for that because I tried the corporate world and I was like, this has to work because I love the freedom here and I have no one to blame but myself. So that's a big thing, mind shift. Once you start taking accountability and don't blame other people and give them your power and you know it's all on you, you start making more changes and don't make excuses and you get stuff done. So that helped me a lot when I got into real estate.
Yeah. How'd you learn that lesson where it's all reliant on you?
Reading books.
Reading books.
Reading books. I read a lot of books.
Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, I have a bunch of recommendations,
Like
but
top 3, maybe.
not top 3, top 4. So I think the first book I ever read was The Magic of Thinking Big. I love that book. So I read that book and I read it out of principle for someone else as like a favor. out of respect, because when I was younger, I got caught up and people was like, do Amway, you're going to be rich. I'm like, I'm going to be rich. You mean to tell me if I recruit this person and I'm just go? So in my mind, I'm going to be a multimillionaire at like 19. So I did that. And this lady called Martha Michaud was like, hey, read this book. And reading wasn't cool when I was 19. So I read the book. I stopped doing that stuff. It didn't work. I didn't like it. And 2 years goes by and I see somebody I hadn't seen in a long time. And they're like, dude, you've changed. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, you always smile. And I thought I always smile. They said, you never get sick. You're always in a good mood. Like, you have changed. And then I started thinking about that book. And those all the things in that book that I picked up subconsciously and didn't really realize it. And then I was like, hey, there's something to this. So then I got another job at a call center. And I hated that job too. And at the time it was Yahoo. That was the first browser. So I'm Yahoo. What makes people rich? And it said real estate. And it came up with a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. So I got that book and read it. And it's like my whole mind just blew up and exploded. I was like, this is completely different from everything I've ever known when it comes to money. So I read that book, and then I attended one of his little weekend seminars that was $500, which I had to put on a credit card because I didn't have $500.
Yeah.
And I remember I went there, and then it was like Trump University. It was a bunch of crap, and they tried to upsell you and take your money. But they had everybody call their credit card company up their limits, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, you up your limit. What'd you get? $5 grand, 10 grand. I think I got like nothing. He was like, no, my stuff was already maxed out. He's like, nothing. And they said, okay, now we're going to sell you this course for $20,000 or $30,000, and you got to take a chance. Use your credit cards, the limits. You just got all this money. And I was like, I don't have it. They said, tell you what, you get this software that's $1,000, and we'll give you this free board game called Castle 101, and that way you can do something later. So I get the software that I never used, but they gave me that board game called Castle 101. It was originally $200. So I say I paid $1,500 for it because I paid $500 for the being there, $1,000 for that, and they gave it to me. So $1,500 what I really paid.
Oh my!
But that was one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
Really?
Because you play that game, and it's not I hate saying it's a game, because when you play it, it feels like real money. They give you an income statement. You have a job, you have bills, you have liabilities, and you build up. The whole premise of the game is to buy enough assets to cover your expenses so you don't have to work no more. And then you can go out there and do what I'm doing now. Buy businesses, buy franchises, all these things, and now your money's working for you, making you money. So that board game, to me, you play that 12 times, is better than a master's degree.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like it's that important to me.
Do you still play it to this day?
We have every once a year we have a big annual thing called Castle 101. We have like 50, 60, 70 people come. Me and my buddy Fred Brown, that's the wholesaler. But every other month we do it at like one of the co-hatch spaces or something like that, and probably had 10, 15 people come. We have attorneys coming. We have people from 3 hours away coming. They're 65 years old, about to retire. We have people that are 19, just all across the globe, like-minded people, young entrepreneurs. And it's just that important. My son knows how to play. He's 13. He's been playing since he was 8.
Oh, wow.
Dang. Okay. And I'm interested also, you're really, really good at talking. Is this a skill that you had since you were like a kid? Like, how'd you learn that? Because you told me you've been always good on the phone.
Right.
How'd you learn that?
I guess environment. When I was younger, no one believes me. And you have to ask my best friends. I was a really shy kid. I mean, I was super shy. I wouldn't talk to nobody. I was really good at sports, though. So with me, the first thing that got me out of my little shell was football. I scored like 4 touchdowns a game, all that little stuff. But when you're little, I'm faster than everybody. I'm picking up quicker. But my sister's dad, he used to wash and wax cars, and he had the gift of gab. And he's always talking, never shy. So I guess I kind of picked it up from him without realizing it. But I didn't start really talking to people until I was in high school. I was super shy till I was in high school. My little growth spurt, got taller than girls. Then the second thing, realized girls like me, and then that's when I started getting my personality a little bit better and went from there.
Wow, yeah. And then, so what I'm interested in is now it's around 2019, 2020-ish. This is when you become a team lead specifically. How do you decide to move on to a team lead, and how did this affect how you worked with your investments and then like your real estate career in general?
Well, like I said, Buffini, I always go to conferences, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you're in any industry, I've learned from reading books and whatnot, is if you want to make real money, you got to be expert at something. So if you're around people who are making or top in your field, eventually you're going to be one of the top people in your field. So going to those Buffini conferences and stuff, and Buffini always kind of like told you what was going to happen. He said 70% of people in the next 4 years, like right now, 4 to 6 years, are going to be on teams. And then on top of that, I had a mentor, Dave Needs, the guy that introduced me to the guy that did Buffini. He said, Jermaine, you need to build a team. He's like, how much money can you make by yourself? What, 200, 300 grand? Like, to him, that was no money. To me, I'm like, yeah, I'll be happy. You know what I'm saying? He said, you got to build a team to spread out your time. And I remember I was number 2 in the office for 2 years in a row. And I was like, well, once I get number 1, then I'll do it. Because I felt like I had to be number 1, and then I can build a team. And then I see people selling a third of the houses I'm selling, and they got a team. I'm like, how's that work? So once I became number 1, and then I was number 1 twice in my office, I had like 110 agents at Signature Real Estate. That's when I started a team. So with the mentor telling me that, and then Buffini telling me what the future is going to bring, and then I had people always coming to me anyway, because everything I do now, I never thought I would do. Like I said, when I was a shy kid, here's my thing about management. I never want to be in management because I don't like people telling me what to do, so I don't want to tell anybody else what to do. But what happens is once you get really good at something, people are always coming to you for advice, and I'm giving it for free anyway. So now I might as well capitalize off the advice, and it gives you fulfillment. You know what I'm saying? So then I started enjoying it. I got a guy who listened, and then he started making money, and that made me feel good, and other people, and then just went and grew from there.
Okay. And then, so have you put yourself in more of a mentorship role now as you have like evolved in real estate? Or is it mainly with these guys that are on your team?
I'm more of a mentorship. I mean, I mentor people in all kinds of industries. I was doing the math on like what industries and how many people that came across me now that make 6 figures. Because I remember my buddy Dave, or I went to Primerica, and they was like, we got 15 people here that make 6 figures. You can't go to any business around here and they tell you got 15 people making 6 figures. And they was right. At corporate jobs, there's not a lot of people making 6 figures, especially like that long ago. I mentored a guy with Jim. He makes 6 figures. I mentored people flipping houses, 6 figures, obviously real estate. I have an insurance partner. He's doing well now. Helped another guy that does a different type of insurance, life insurance. He makes 6 figures. I have another guy, just a regular job, helping him grasp through the ranks by offering him books and advice over time. So there's probably about, I think, like 9 people. So I want to get it up to as many as I can. Of course, I'm longer. So yeah, I'm more of a mentorship now because I've learned how to delegate and keep my time.
And how'd you learn that? How, like, managing your time so well?
You keep messing up and messing up. You fell forward. So I remember I was at a point in my life, and my coach was like, hey, Jermaine, you need to get someone to help you, an assistant. I'm like, I ain't got the money for that because I want all my money. They was like, well, just get someone to help you with transactions, like a transaction coordinator. So I found somebody in the office, and I said, I'll pay you per transaction. He's like, cool. So what ends up happening is you don't want to give up the reins, so I just would always do it. So then my coach was like, tell you what, Jermaine, why don't you you're paying that person no matter what. If you do it or not, they're getting paid. After like 6, 7 times of me doing it, I'm paying them. I finally slowly released the reins to let them help me. And then that was a big step for me. And then when I was started the team, someone told me, I know you think that you are all everything, all world, which obviously I did, and most realtors do. No one can do it better than we can. I'm like, well, I get referrals because they meet me and I tell my jokes and I can relate, and no one can do it like me. And they said, they ain't got to do it like you. If someone can do 70% of what you do, you get your time back. And eventually they hit home, and then I started doing the team thing and getting all my time back. Because once I made that first 100, I told you, the next year, because I seen a guy, a buddy of mine named Matt Breaker, the State Farm agent, he took like 7 trips a year. I was like, that's the life I want. He's got a big old house in Pickerington by Toll Road. He has boats, he has motorcycles, he has cars, he has trips. So that first year I made 100, I took like 7 trips.
Yeah.
But my income went down 20%, or went down 20%.
Yeah.
Because what I didn't realize, he had a business with employees. It's just me. If I'm not here, I'm not making money. And I didn't like that. I said, I want to get like he gets, where I get my time and can still travel. So eventually I partnered with my buddy Grayson Thompson, and we started the insurance company like in 2017, Mission Insurance.
I'll just ask you about the insurance thing. Okay, so can you tell me more about this insurance company that you started? You told me it was in 2017.
2017. So for real estate, I was trying to do the networking thing. I think it was with Spirit or something like that. They had a new one I was in, and I was going like at 7:30 or 7 in the morning, driving 30 minutes to Reynoldsburg from Commercial Point, and I'm not a morning person, okay? I gave everybody their referral. No one gave me a referral. After 2 months, I was like, forget this. I'm not doing this. So I talked to my mentor, Dave Needs, and we agreed to start our own. I said, but let's do it at lunchtime. So I ain't got to get up early. So we did a lunch. We got attorneys, contractors, tax people, insurance guy. And Dave was like, Jermaine, let's buy a book of insurance and have somebody run it. I said, I'm all about it. Let's go. And we couldn't find nobody. And I said, well, what about that kid you invited right there, Grayson? He was like, he don't want to do it. I was like, okay. When it comes to networking, producing, you pick out a few people and you make sure you go see them. You build a relationship. When you go to a big speed, you can't talk to everybody and be memorable. And if you don't follow up, they're not going to remember you. So with him, Grayson, I realized his insurance company was literally about 20 yards from where I get my hair cut. I didn't get my hair cut often because I used to cut my own hair, but I would go see this barber because I liked him. We were same fans. He's a Denver Broncos fan and a Michigan fan. And I never found anybody with the same mixture. So we hit it off at this little trash talk barbecue. So I would go see him and then I would go see Grayson. And then Grayson, we were hitting it off talking, and Grayson was a car guy. I never was, but I just ordered a new Tesla in 2016, a bright red Tesla. No one really had one at the time. There's only one charging station in Grove City. So I was coming. So we started bonding on that. We met a little bit more, and he did like an interview and stuff with me. And then he was like, one day he's like, hey, we need to talk. Okay, what do you need, man? He's like, because he was with farmers.
Yeah.
And he was like, I want to go join a franchise to be independent for insurance, and I need a partner. And I'm thinking, okay. He said, but I don't want somebody just going to give me money. Obviously, I need money to start it.
Yeah.
I have the experience. I need somebody with the money, but I need somebody that's going to help me grow it. So I already have 50 deals myself coming in a year. So there's 50 clients we should be able to get. And that's what happened. And then I started building a team. So the people on my team, like Doyle and then Letty, they all started getting their insurance license too. So then we had a nice little team selling. And then we had to get a small little office that was like 10 by 10 with no window. And that was our first thing. And I think Joey Ack was our first employee. And I didn't feel like we had the money for it. But I remember Doyle was my guy. And Doyle was like, this guy wants to quit his job and you should hire him. He already works at another place, but he don't like it. I'm like, I ain't hiring no one right now, but I'll meet him. I met him. I liked him. And I was like, whatever you do, don't let him quit his job because I don't know about hiring somebody. Sure enough, dude quit his job that week. So I was like, all right, whatever. Hired him part-time for a few hours, and it was it was a good hire because he helped stabilize us a little bit more. And then him and Grayson started working together to help grow it. And I felt like things started taking off after that.
Yeah. How do you learn to manage people so well? Because a lot of business owners, they struggle with trusting people like accurately, not like micromanaging them. How do you learn to do that, especially when it's like your money being used? Your money is used to build that business.
I learned to trust my instinct, but I think I'll tell you in between the little breaks and whatnot. I grew up in an environment where my parents were on drugs. I was around a bunch of shady people. And even though I was shy, I got really good at paying attention to body language and micro expressions. So by doing that, I didn't realize the kid is a survival instinct. When I got older and got my confidence and started doing more things with people, I was real good at judging people. And also, I think it helped, like I said, when I was younger, like every guy, you want to talk to every girl you meet. So if you're talking to a lot of girls, a lot of different personalities, you'll learn how to deal with people too. So with talking to girls growing up and then being around shady people at a young age and always checking your 9 or 6 and seeing what's going on, that kind of naturally helped me when I got older and started doing management things.
And then how's it now? So you've been a team lead since 2020, and then you've told me you have some other investments. How do you balance everything with investment, with insurance, with your real estate? Because you're still a top producer. We talked about in the beginning, you're number 42 out of 10,000. That's crazy already, but you're still doing all of these other things. How do you manage it?
Delegation. You get good partners. Like Grayson from my insurance company, he's the insurance guy. He takes care of the insurance person. In the beginning, I did more, but now it's to the point where it's growing and he's got it. I trust him wholeheartedly. He takes care of everything. So we talk every blue moon about certain things that he has to ask me about, but mainly he takes care of it. Then me and Needs, we went on that rehab facility in Akron and I have a couple percent ownership, but we had people before we started that ran ones before. So when you do anything, you want people with experience. So with the insurance company, Grayson had been an agent for, I think, like 7 years or something like that. So he knew insurance when the guy just started. The rehab facilities, this guy had been, him and his wife been in the industry for like, I think like 20 years. And he had ownership in one and ran one, and she was the recruiter, because that's very important as a recruiter to get people to come in. So we just had to raise the money, and then we delegated and got the people in place. So that's a full-grown business. Like I said, with Rich Dad Poor Dad, the cash flow quadrants are important.
Yeah, I read it
So
actually.
you got employee, E, highest tax, S, self-employed, doctors, realtors, and then you have businesses and investors. So like the insurance company to me was a business because I was in it with him a little bit. He ran it. He did most of everything, and then the rehab facility. I don't do nothing. I put my money in. They need it up front, and money is very important. Without money, nothing starts. That's like the UFC Dana White, right?
Yeah.
All I knew was he owned UFC. I thought, but he didn't own it. You know how much he owned the UFC?
I'm not sure, but I think it's a small amount.
It's like 9 or 10%. They sold it for, I want to say, like $4 billion. So he got $400 million because he owned 10%, but he ran and did everything. But the people that bought it for $2 million, they had the $2 million. Because without them, I don't care how much knowledge you have, nothing happens without money. So because they had the money, they got the biggest return.
And then you told me how you've started dabbling more in angel investing. Can you share about that? You told me something about crypto.
So once again, I've learned over time, you got to trust your instincts, right? So I had a buddy that was on my team, and everything's about relationships, and it didn't work out. He went back to working, and he stayed in the crypto world. And he got me, and I lost some money. I think I lost like 30 grand. But when I lose, it makes me think what happened, and I don't take it as like a bad thing. I'm just a learning experience, because people have no problem paying 30 grand for school for a year.
Yeah.
And then come out making 40 grand. But when I do stuff, if I lose 20, 30 grand, it's no different than paying for school. It's education, because I learned. It may not have been how I wanted, but I guarantee you I took the time and learned that I lost. So he said, hey, there's this company called Checks. The stock ticker's Checks. It's Chinta's the name of the company. It's a altcoin for crypto. And he said they're looking for, I think, 200 grand or something like that. He said, I ain't got it, obviously. He said, but I know you probably got it. And I'm telling you, if you put it in this, it's going to make you a lot of money. And it was 4 cents at the time. And I'm like, so I researched it, and they was a real company. It wasn't just like a meme coin like Dogecoin. They like a real company. And it's like 4 cents. I'm doing the math. I'm like, if it goes to 40 cents, I'm going to have $2 million.
Yeah.
But if it goes to 20, which I've seen all these other people don't know nothing about crypto, put 1,000 in, the next thing they got 10 grand.
Yep.
I'm like, all right, so even if I put 200, if it just doubles, I'm still good, which everything is trending and saying in this industry is going to do that. And I had so long to give them the money. So we signed the agreement, and I had like 3 weeks to get them the money. Well, within a week, while we're negotiating, it went from 4 cents to 10 cents. I'm like, so my 200 just turned into 500 grand. Get them this money. You know what I'm saying? So I got them the money, and everything was good. And then everything went to shit. It went down to like 1 cent.
Oh my gosh.
So now my 200 turned into what, 50 grand or something like that?
Yeah.
But you don't panic. I learned from trading stock before, because I traded stock, that it's up, low, you invest in a company like Warren Buffett said that you believe in, and you ride it out. You ain't got time for all this up. It'll drive you crazy. So last year, it got up to like 20 something cents, 40 cents, and then it went back down to 20 cents. It was 20 something cents. And then I'm an angel investor. I get on the quarterly calls with the CEO and stuff like that. I don't say, I just get on. And they streamed it. I didn't get on. They streamed it on X, because they partnered with Solanas. And it went from 24 cents to 44 cents. So that made me $1 million that day.
Oh my gosh.
If you do the math, that's $1 million. Now, it sounds better than it is, because if you don't cash it out, it comes back down. And that's exactly what happened. It came back down like 20 something cents. But at the same time, I remember on the call before, he said, I really think it'll go to $1 soon. I'm like, this dude he's never said anything like that, the CEO, but like, God, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
So then it went back down, and then it went on its run, and it went to 80 cents.
Oh my gosh.
So I cashed out a couple $100 grand, because I learned my lesson. You got to take some of it out and diversify some of it, because if not, I did that before with a stock, went way up. And I had a lot of money, over $1 million in that too. And then it came way down, and it never came back up. I took a few hundred out before, but so I didn't lose, but You just
That
sit there
is
and think
crushing.
the things you could do, but hindsight's 2020. So this time I took a little bit more out, put it in something else, building a brand new house now. I want to be like a builder too. So I'm building a new house in Mansfield, just hit the market. And when you do anything new, because I've never done it, right? You find people that's good at it. And I found a guy that's really good at building, and the banks told me, I said, what do you got to take from me? Y'all give me money. Because you want to leverage money. Rich people get rich from leveraging money. They said, you got to do 3 of them, and then we'll give you some money. So I did the first one, all my money, and now got the second one, building right now. And then first one should sell. They give me the money for the third one, and then boom. Then I can go to the bank for the fourth one.
Oh my gosh, wow. Can you break down how much what your investments are specifically? Like, so we have so far real estate and then insurance, crypto, rehab, building. Is there anything else we're missing?
Well, like I said, I did stock too.
Oh, and stocks
And it
too.
went up over $1 million. Now it's back under. But what else? And then I have rental property, because that's how you hold your wealth, is rental properties. I had like a 6-unit in Dayton, a 4-unit, a couple duplexes. We bought me and 3 of my partners from house, because I'm one of the people that are close to me. I know real estate, how to make money. So we bought a cabin in Gatlinburg, brand new. We paid like $750 for it, and it takes 16 months to build. And by the time we close, it's worth $1 million. So that's the power of real estate. You catch it at the right time. It went up $250,000, and we all had 25% ownership right there. At the same time, when we did that, I built my brand new house in Dublin. It went up $130,000 while I was getting built for a year. I bought another house 2 days later, a new build with MI on the golf course in Foxfire, and it went up, I want to say like $70,000. So I closed on 2 houses back to back, personal house and investment house. My net worth went up $200,000, and I didn't do anything. We put down 5% down for they to build the house. And then I didn't put much down on the vacation spot in Gatlinburg, because I love Gatlinburg. And that cabin was 4 bedrooms, indoor movie theater, indoor
that's
pool,
nice.
hot tub, sauna. Then they built a community pool right there. Everything was new. And we were making money at first, and then we stopped, and then we sold it for like 1.1, and everybody made like $100,000 in like 2 years. So the power of real estate has helped me out dramatically. So I have all these other properties, and when I need money, I'll sell 1 or 2 and invest in something else,
Has it been recent since any real estate losses? Like, so you told me in the beginning you've gotten burnt before, but have you been, like, as of right now, like anything recent, like maybe in the last 4 or 5 years where you're like, oh,
absolutely. Here's what I tell you. It's investing in it. It's hard for people because of the emotion. Everybody thinks you should win all the time. But when I take an L, I've always learned you have to be just as enthusiastic when you take the L for the next thing you invest in, like a childlike enthusiasm, because you're not always going, I don't care who you are. Yeah, I lost in stuff. Everything was going good. Got the gold Midas touch. And then I think I went in on a flip with someone earlier this year, and I lost like $30,000. It happens. I think I lost $30,000 on the stock, because I have certain plays. I go with someone, I give them some money, and sometimes it doubles, sometimes I make 50, whatever. It's worth like holding me, it's worth it. And I lost $30,000 on that. So here's the difference though. I make enough money now that when I take a loss, it doesn't affect me and no one knows, but I still take losses sometimes. I take losses sometimes investing in people. I invest in people. Like everything I've told you I've done with the people, like investing with my insurance partner, that's taking a chance on somebody. He took a chance on me, I took a chance on him. That's people. When I mentor people on doing rehabs and flips, and I give them the money to do their flips, I'm investing, because I could lose all that money, but I know this, as long as you win more than you lose, it takes care of itself. So like the crypto, it went up a couple million, right? That makes up for a lot of losses. That makes up for 10,000 here, 20 here, 30 here, whatever it may be, it makes up for a lot. Or like the rehab facility, that's going to pay me a lot of money in the next few years. Now, it's delayed gratification on all these. When you buy a property, you don't make money right now, but 5 years later, what will it be worth? What will get paid down to with cash flow? You look at the 4 ways you make money, and it's crazy. On top of that, the rehab, I didn't get my first check for 18 months. So I gave them a couple $100,000 to get my percentage. No money for 18 months. I remember my very first check, it was $5,000. I was like, oh, it ain't going to go lower than that. It's going to go up.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So most people don't know how distributions work, right? So like with that place, I'd own 5%. So we made 200 grand profit that month, which sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
So they took 100 grand, put in reserves, because you got to have reserves. That's not forever, just for a little bit. So it was like 100 grand in district. So if I own 5%, I got $5,000. The very next month, we made 400 grand in profit.
So now 10,000, right?
10,000. But once the reserves go, that means I'm getting 20,000 a month. You see what I'm saying? Because the reserves is not always going to be there. And then I kept getting that for a few months, and then we get a new building, so we've been renovating it, so the distribution stopped for a little bit, but that's okay. You know your money's there. You know it's growing in equity. So example, the insurance company. I didn't get paid for years. And people was like, what do you mean? It's an investment. It's a long investment. Everybody got paid but me. But I knew based on the revenue we made, we could sell that for 3x. So if we had $500,000 in sales, we got a certain percentage of that was like maybe 70 grand. So I knew it was worth 210. So even though I get paid on half, I knew I made 110 in equity.
Yeah.
So as they kept growing, even if I didn't get paid, I knew the equity portion was there. And that was the most important part to me, because that's real money when you're ready. Because I'm looking long term. I make enough money in real estate to support my lifestyle and do whatever I want to do. So all these other investments are extra. And if you can compound those 5, 10, 15 years later, you're going to be doing very well for yourself.
Yeah, I'm interested. So you talked about a lot how you have patience with investment. When do you decide like it's enough? Like this is not going to be profitable for me. Like I shouldn't be putting more time into this, or even a person. How do you decide that?
Well, a person is like, I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And if you start being shady or arrogant or not telling the truth, or I just feel I trust my instinct. If I feel like I gave you every possible chance and you still are abusing our relationship, I'll just slowly distance myself and keep it moving. Because I know if I'm in your life, it's going to help you more than not in your life. Because that's how it works. So you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around. And I know what I make and all the stuff I do. Most people don't even fathom or know any of this stuff. So if you're around me, it's going to open you up and open your mind up to extra things to be. And maybe you get on some of these investments. You're not around me, you don't get a chance, So I'm going to be okay regardless. I mean, I've got a track record that says that no matter what, I would be okay. And I've seen a lot of people right now, stuff is not going well for them, or because the economy changed or whatever. And I probably could have helped them navigate that, but they wanted to do it on their own.
What about investments in general? How do you decide when to like cut it off?
Usually when I got a better investment. So example, like last year I sold a duplex about for 140 and sold it 3 years later for 240. And I will say that I managed it myself, which I'll never do again because I'm a terrible property manager. Just got to know what you're good at. Like me and the team, I'm the big picture guy. I know, but I have a personal assistant who's a freaking rock star, and she gets stuff done for me. She plans all the meetings, what we're going to talk about. She gives me the talking points. If I want shirts for the team, she gives me samples. She sends me pictures, and I just make decisions. I'm a decision maker. I don't got to do the everyday thing. So that's what delegation helps me with my time. We all have the same 24 hours. But like the reason I sold that is because another rehab came up and I needed a couple $100,000 more. So I'm like, this is frustrating anyway. Because here's a misconception about rental properties. Everybody thinks they can get 5 or 10 rental properties and quit their job, right? Don't work like that. Because you don't make but maybe $150, $200 a door, okay? So if you're making that, so 10 doors is $2,000. You ain't quitting no job with that.
Yeah.
Now there's other benefits like the equity and buying down the principal and appreciation and all that stuff, right? But it's a lot of work that goes into it. So it's not truly passive anyway. So if you really want to retire from property, you need about 100 of them. That's a lot of work. Example, this is when I realized that like it ain't gonna work like I thought. I bought a duplex for like 90 grand. Someone needed to sell bad. I bought it. My payment's $800 a month. I'm renting each side for 800. I'm like, oh my God, I'm making $800 a month. That's $9,600 a year, right? So say 10 grand. I'm up. But then the AC unit goes out in the furnace, 10 grand. All your profits are gone. But it's still worth it because it went up in value, say 10 grand that year. They paid it down 3 grand that year. And you still probably made $1,000 or $2,000, which averages out to, $150, $200. So once I realized that, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not making nowhere near. I'm thinking I'm making $800 a month. But after repair, because they're always older buildings, you get good deals on, you're always putting money in them. So you're not really getting the money. But when I sold it, I cashed out, took that and bought a better property. A better property. But like I said, now I'm cashing some out to go into the rehab because once again, when you deal with businesses, the multiples is important. Like I said, the insurance company, you can sell for 3x, right? So example, say you're bringing in $1 million in revenue. You can sell for $3 million, right?
Yeah.
Pretty good. The rehab facility, you can sell those for 10x. It's like venture capital. I was like, what? You can sell for what? I said, that's crazy because it's so much money. Like the one we have up there, his first 4 year, been, I think it brought in 12 million and they should bring like 24 million.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. We just got one in Virginia, should bring in 40 because you get more per day. Up there, we get around 3 something a person. So you get about 10,000 a month per person. They come in for 30 days for PHP, and then they can come in for IOP. Is after they're done with the 30 days, then they can stay and get jobs. We still take them to the therapy, group therapy and all that. But in Virginia, they strategically went there because you get paid 6 something, almost 700 a person. So you get the same amount of people, you're going to double the revenue. So let's just say we got one that's 40 there, and then we do one in Richmond that's 40, and that's 20. It's $100 million. You can sell for $1 billion.
Oh my gosh.
Own 5%.
Okay. Wow.
So once again, it's a long play. This may be 10, 15 years down the road, but I'm still getting cash flow while it's doing it with not doing anything. That's true passive for me. And then I have the exit strategy of crazy amount of money in the future.
And then now I kind of want to focus on the future. So you have a son. How do you build him up for the future with all of your investments, all of these things that you do? How do you build him up are you planning on having him take over it, or is it exit and give him something else? How do you plan on it?
Originally it was, he can do whatever he wants to do. He's my son. He finds his little niche with, no. You do what I do because I already got this and I can teach you this and you can just build on what I do, right? But with him, what I do is he's been playing that game since he's 8. So if we sit down and play that game, he could teach you how to play, which is crazy, right? A 13-year-old can teach you assets, liability, income statement, how to get passive income. On top of that, I have him read so many books, get the mind right. Right now, his schedule is crazy because I want to lose a little bit of weight, but also be competitive. So right now, I pick him up at 3:45 after school, make sure he eats. Basketball training 4 to 5, one-on-one for coach or a personal trainer. Then he shoots for 30 minutes. Then I pick him up, take him 3 minutes down the road, strength and conditioning coach, work out from 5:30 to 7, go back to basketball from 7 to 8. This is 4 days a week, so I want him just to be busy. But the important thing is I feel like you got to be in shape, get your body right. That's a mental thing. And I feel like you do better when you are more confident and it's just it's like a mind challenge to stay in shape and do the stuff you need to do, right? And it builds confidence. And then reading books works on the mind. So we're working on the mind, we're working on the body. And then basketball is just to let him know when it's hard, what do? You give up, you quit, or you just get better. So you put more time in and perfect your craft. So those are the things I'm doing with him right now. And then obviously I take him to school every day and I'll have a TikTok about Kobe Bryant doing something or someone, whatever I deem important that I share with my team and him. Even though he's 13, I treat him like he's 20, 25 years old. I give him the same insight I would someone that's older.
What would you give advice to people that want to be entrepreneurs? Because you have, it seems like you have achieved the entrepreneur lifestyle. You have the freedom from what you were telling me, and you have the businesses. What would be advice you would give to people that, let's just say they got out of high school or they're out of college and now they're like, okay, what do I do next?
The first thing you would do is you need to be around like-minded people. I'd read books because when you read books, it gives you some of the vocabulary. And that's the thing. When you get around people, they know if you put in any work. I get a lot of people just mentor me. I'm like, no, you're not worth my time. You just want me to fix it. It don't work like that. I can advise you, but you have to do the work. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you exactly what to do because you got to find your path. So read books at first. Oh, real quick, I'll give you those few books. There's Magic of Thinking Big.
Yeah.
The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
All right.
The Richest Man in Babylon. You ever heard of that book?
I've never heard of that book.
It's a short little book, and it talks about the biggest lessons, invest 10% of your own, pay yourself first. And there's some lessons in there how people waste money and spend money. And then Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki.
Huh.
It doesn't matter what order. I read Magic Thinking Big, then Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But those are the 4 books I would read to give you a base. I would go to something like that Cash Flow 101 game that we play every other month or once, I would buy the game and play with your friends or holler at me. You play it 2 times, you get the gist of it. because you got to get your mindset right. Find somebody that mentors you. Okay. Then on top of that, when it comes to making money, the very first rule of making money is spend less than you make. A lot of people don't do that. Spend less than you make and pay yourself first. Because in the book, it says, well, if I make this, isn't all that money mine? He said, you fool. Do you not pay your rent? Do you not pay for your car payment? He didn't say like that, he's old biblical, but that's exactly, when you get money, it's not yours. It goes to all your bills first, and then you get what's left. So this guy's like, no matter what, before you start getting these bills, get used to paying yourself 10% first. You do that when you're 18, you're guaranteed to be a millionaire. Now, it's a long game, but you need money to invest. So if you can pay yourself first, the 10%, spend less than you make, then everybody's like, well, what do I do? Do I buy an investment property? Do I flip houses? Do I wholesale? You buy a house first. I've seen a lot of people not know nothing about money and buy a house, and then 7 years later sell it and make 120 grand. That'll change your life. You know what I'm saying? But people are trying to do it. They want it now, and they overestimate what they can do in a year, and underestimate what they can do in 3 to 4 years. Everybody now wants to make 100 grand this year or whatever. But if you set together a plan and you plan out for 3 years, you will destroy people that's where you're at right now. It's not hard. It's small little changes. It's just hard to implement those small little changes. So like I said, 10%, buy a house. So you can do whatever you want to, because you're paying rent somewhere. If you can't afford a house on your own, get a friend, get a roommate. If you have, y'all split rent, you're allowed to do that. And then maybe instead of making 60 grand, y'all both make 30 apiece. That's still going to set you apart from everybody else. You buy a house at 22, and then at 25, 26, you sell it and you make 60, 70 grand. Your peers just got out of college at 24. You're doing way better because they got way more student loan debt than you and all this stuff. So buy a house first, because that's like simple. And then on top of that, when you invest in your 401k or something, just put it in S&P 500. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Because here's what I read, the book by Tony Robbins that really got me into stocks. And he said 96% of the fund managers that all these companies pay to manage your money don't beat the S&P 500. 96%.
Oh, wow.
96%. He said, and what happens is they're charged you like 3 to 5% to manage your money. The S&P average is like 10, 11%. Say they make 8%, but they're charging you 5. You only made 3.
Yeah.
So you're losing 5% every year. If you compound that over 30 years, you probably lost $1 million.
Oh, wow.
You don't think about it, but there's power in compound interest. So if you can put in a Vanguard fund that's the S&P 500, it's like 1% fee. You're saving another 4. That's money in your pocket to go back and reinvest. So S&P 500, invest that, buy a house. You do those 2 things, in 4 years, you're going to be ahead. Now, I'm not saying you don't still think about how to do something else, like get a side hustle or buy an investment property later. But you never buy the investment property first, because you can get in a house owner occupant for 3.5% down. When you buy an investment, you're putting 20, 25%. It's a lot easier to come up with 3.5% than it is 20. So if you get your primary house and then you say if you're 20, now you have 2 houses. Now it's a lot better that way. But everybody wants to sound an investor. When you buy your house, the first one to me, that's an investment. Now, real quick, I'm going to tell this story. I remember I had this, one of my first few people I sold a house. It was like a second deal. They were married. I remember her dad was a pastor, came from Louisville, come down here. They had 2 little kids. They bought a house. They was together for 3 years. And then the wife wanted a divorce. I think she got a girlfriend or something like that. And she moved. So I sold that. And the house, they didn't do nothing to it. I think I paid to get it painted myself, to get more money. I paid someone to come and declutter. That's my job. They didn't get you most of my money. Sold that house. They made $60,000 tax-free. I said, hold on a second. They didn't do anything. I was like, $60,000 tax-free? What in the world? It blew my mind. So yeah, that's why I say, to buy a house. It makes you money without even you thinking about it. Because everybody overcomplicates it. It's simple little things that make you money.
That makes sense. Yeah. Can you tell me? So you said 3 to 4 year plan will get you ahead of most people.
Yeah.
What is Jermaine Fox's 3 to 4 year plan?
This next 3 or 4 year plan?
Yeah.
Now that I see how well the equity's a lot better then you gotta have ownership in everything. That's where I'm at now. It's like whatever I do, I have ownership. And a thing that's speeding this up for me is in the beginning, when I was real and stuff, it had to be all me. I think everybody's ego is like, I got to do it all myself. I don't want no help. I don't want nobody to say I'm a self-made millionaire. There's no such thing as a self-made millionaire. Someone advised you, someone gave you money, someone gave you guidance, someone helped you in some type of way because you don't know what you don't know. So when I hear people say I run for them to know this dude's a piece of crap and don't want to give no one else credit because no one got there by themselves. So my plan now is I've seen with like the rehab facility, and then me and some people from the rehab, like 4 of us or 5, we invested in a 20 unit for the rehab facility. So I'm gonna run that deal down for you real quick too, commercial. Anything over 4 units considered commercial. So we bought a 20 unit because you can get 2 people per room in there, right?
Yeah.
And we have 14 2 bedrooms, 6 3 bedrooms. So that's like 90 people. So we are leasing it back to the rehab facility, even though we own part of it. This is a separate thing. We're getting above market rents. Rents is $1,000 a month. Okay. We know we get $450 per person per room. So 2 bedrooms, $450, $900 a room, $1,800. So now we're getting $1,800 when the last person getting $1,000.
Yeah.
Well, we are in commercial. We don't have to fix anything unless it's over $5,000 per unit. It's really not going to be much $5,000 per unit, unless the AC unit or something goes out. On top of that, we have a 10-year lease, and every year it goes up 5%. So commercial is based on how much revenue comes in. So we bought that for like 1.7 or something like that, and we're about to double the revenue in 2 years. So it's going to be worth almost double. So that's a lot of equity we made off just being business savvy. And here's what I'll tell you. I didn't know how none of that worked, but I'm around the right people. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. So because I'm not, and I have good friends, they hit me the game. And because I do have a few dollars here and there, because without having money to invest in these things, you don't even get in these rooms. Because my mentor in the beginning, I remember he was like, hey man, you need to start investing in your retirement. I'm like, dude, I ain't got no money. He's like, just like a couple hundred, $400 or $500. I said, I ain't got no $400 or $500 a month. He said, all right. He's getting frustrated. He's like, $100. I'm telling you, I don't have $100. He's like, you ain't even gonna miss it. I said, I'm telling you I will. So at the end before he left, he finally talked me into putting in $50 a month in my retirement. And he was right. I didn't even miss it. And then after the next year, then I went from like 300, then 500. Now I put a couple $1,000s in every month. But it took that little minute change where it automatically came out and it was $50 to get me started. That's what I'm saying. That's what people don't realize. It's the little things that get you started. Like I give you an example, like gym. When if you're in a funk and you're not working out, and I lived in an apartment complex that had its own gym 24/7, and I just wasn't going because it's too convenient. Yeah. So I was like, all right, let me get a member at Lifetime. It was $130 at the time, or 20, whatever it was, 100, and I knew that pissed me off. So I said, I'm gonna go to the gym every day for 3 weeks. I don't have to work out. I just want to get in the habit, the routine of going. So I went every day, and I probably worked out 3 times. And the other times I get on my phone for 20 minutes and then leave, or I go get in the sauna or the steam room and take a shower and leave. But the important, I went every day. And after that 3 weeks, I was used to going every day. Now I'm working out 5 times a week like I'm used to. And I got me out of my funk. It's just routine. You have to change your routine.
And then I guess my last question would be, how would you recommend to get around the right people? Because a lot of what you're talking about is how you met a mentor that helped you. You met someone that you were able to partner with to start your insurance company. How would you recommend for people that are starting out, they have no connections, maybe they're coming from like lower income and they don't know where to start? How would you recommend?
I feel like the universe puts you in places when you're ready, right? So if you are, what's the word I want to use? When you are purposeful in your actions, and so like I would read books first, because that gets you the mindset, start thinking positive or whatever. And I think the universe is energy. So when you have the right energy, you're going to run into the right people, right? So you read books and you go online and Google like cash flow, find places where they're networking, join groups. They're out there. You just got to look for them. You know what I'm saying? And eventually you're going to meet one person that's in one, and he can introduce you this person, introduce you that person, introduce you that person. And then eventually you'll run into somebody. If you find somebody that's doing what you want to do, a lot of people want stuff for free. It's like, what can you do for them to be worth them to give you their time. Because obviously you can't pay them with the worth. You know what I'm saying? If I'm gonna talk to somebody, you ain't gonna pay me for what my hour's worth. But if I like you and I think you're hungry and I see potential in you, I'll give you my time. I'm more than happy to get people that are hungry my time. I have cousins back home, and I'm like, you need to move because it's just that area is just. I feel like when people move, they triple their chance of being successful. They don't have all the distractions. It's a small town, and you come to a big city or something, it's overwhelming at first. But once you start going, you have a lot more opportunities up here. And my cousins, I call them sometimes like, hey, come up, hang out for a night or two, stay with me. We're going to do the cash flow. And I invite them when I'm like, you have a multimillionaire asking you to come hang out. You know how much that's worth? And then they're like, yeah, and then they don't come. It's just very disappointing because you're like, I understand you want it bad, but if you're not willing to come up and have an hour or two conversation with someone that's way ahead, how do you think you're gonna get the knowledge when you won't even take the time to drive 2 hours to get some knowledge? You know? So I hope y'all watching this because I'm gonna reach out to y'all.
All right. Yeah. No, I think that's it for our time. But Jermaine, thank you for this. It was really inspiring and really helpful for all the viewers. And I thank you for taking time, especially because you talked about it. You're a busy guy. Your time is worth very valuable. And we thank you for sharing.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Okay. Yeah. That's it.
All right.